Hello, this is a tutorial for National 4 musicians. You will need a pen and paper and to take notes as you listen throughout the tutorial. The concepts that we're going to cover throughout the tutorial are opera, Baroque, Soprano, Imitation, Tenor, major tonality and Ornament. And your first activity is to write your name at the top of your notes and a list of those concepts. Please pause the video and copy the concepts from the video cover. Thank you. Your next activity is to listen to the piece of music, which is 7 minutes long. It's by a composer called Handel from the Baroque style, and the name of the piece is As Steals the Morn. As you listen, please make a mind map or a list of all the concepts that you can hear that you're already confident with identifying. So that's listen to this piece of music, which is 7 minutes long, and take notes as you listen. So, you've just been listening to music which is in the Baroque style, and this is the earliest style of music that you need to know for your National 4. Please make a note that Baroque music was written between 1600 and 1750, so that's 400 to 250 years ago. So let's have another listen to the male and female voices in this piece. Can you identify what type of voice they have? So that was the female voice. Let's have a listen to the male voice now. I'm going to play both those voices again, one after the other, and whilst you're listening, please write down what type of voice you think these singers have. So I hope you identified that you were listening to a soprano, which is a high female voice, and a tenor, which is a high male voice. Please write that down in your notes, that a soprano is a high female voice and a tenor is a high male voice. One mistake that students often make in a listening exam, when they're asked to identify the type of voice singing, they write something like opera, but opera's not actually a type of voice, opera's a style. So it's really important that if you're asked what type of voice you can hear, that you remember it's to do with the pitch of voice of the singers. So a high female singing voice is soprano, and a high male singing voice is tenor. And we'll come on to alto and bass another time. So now I'd like you to listen to those same extracts and actually tell me what's going on. Can you compare the soprano and the tenor parts here? So can you hear that they're effectively singing the same melody one after the other? In fact, you could say that the tenor was copying the soprano. So in music, the concept that we have for this is imitation, where one part imitates another part. Now it could be one after another, just like in the example that you've heard, or it could slightly overlap. So I want you to have a listen to the woodwind instruments. It's actually a bassoon and an oboe in the accompaniment. The oboe starts off and then the bassoon imitates exactly what the oboe's just played, but it's overlapping. See if you can hear that in this extract. And here is one further example of imitation. So in your notes, please ensure that you have written down imitation and that it's where one part copies another part straight away. They can even overlap. The next concept that we're going to look at now is major tonality. Now you might have heard the word major before when we're talking about chords. So major tonality refers to the key that the piece is written in. And a major has a particular feel to it. In its simplest terms, major music might be described as light and bright and happy, whereas minor music might be described as dark and mysterious and foreboding. So this music is written in a major key. Please write that down and have a listen to the beginning of the extract again, where you can hear the characteristic of major music. So major music might be described as having a happy feel to it. Our last concept of this tutorial is ornaments. Ornaments in Baroque music were really, really popular, and they're basically just really, really short notes that decorate the melody. So you have the main notes of the melody, and then tiny little notes will be added in as decoration. As you may progress through to National 5 music, you'll learn that these ornaments have different words like mordants or trills or even acciacchaturas. But for National 4, you just need to know the concept of ornament, where tiny little notes are used to decorate the melody. Have a listen to a couple of these examples. Listen one more time to the oboe part there and listen for the ornaments. They're actually playing a trill just before the end of the phrase. Here's another example, this time in the singing voice. Listen to that one more time and really focus on the soprano voice. She is adding in really, really quick notes in a trill just before the end of the phrase. Sounds a bit like a wobble, but what you're listening to is an ornament. So that concludes our tutorial. The concepts that we have covered have been Baroque, Soprano, Tenor, Imitation, Major tonality and Ornament. And we also talked about opera as a style rather than a voice type, because students often are confused that opera is a type of voice. Actually, a type of voice refers to the pitch that the voice is singing, as in soprano, alto, tenor and bass, and opera is a particular style, and we're going to have another tutorial on opera soon. If you can take a photocopy of your notes and hand them in to me on Teams, that would be much appreciated. Thank you very much.